What is up, guys? Welcome to Diggity, a video game podcast. I'm Jeff James. As always with me, the incredible, unobtainable, luscious Brody Faults. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing really good. Weekend's coming up.
I'm doing really good.
Week. I'm getting some solid video game time in. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my lordy. Damn, I wasn't expecting that. Just like, I'm doing really good. Like, you said it in a way like everyone else is doing shit. And I'm doing real good, baby.
No, I'm just excited. Real excited. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm stoked as well for the weekend. Just ready to chill out and play some video games as well. It's just that time, where it's like, holiday season's coming up. You're trying to just follow through on all your work stuff and get some stuff done.
Oh, my follow through on work stuff ends tomorrow at whatever time I leave.
Do you get are you taking the whole week off? Is that the thing for you?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just took 3 days vacation, so I got the full week off, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, now we're I got to work up all the way to Christmas Eve, so.
Oh, on Christmas Eve too, or just 23rd?
Yes, but we get out early, and would I say that everyone's productive on Christmas Eve? No.
Well, naturally.
As my boss probably listens to this podcast and hears this. But
right.
Hey, you know what? I'm an honest man. I mean, I give it my effort.
That's
on
right.
Christmas Eve. I did last year. I did it. I'm just saying it's a fact. But anyways, moving on from that, man, we've got some hot news that just dropped 2 minutes before we went live.
Yeah.
Which is odd because this has never really happened. And we're kind of like, holy shit. But we have some housekeeping, I guess, too. We will not be doing an episode next week, as a heads up.
Correct.
There's this little thing called Christmas that comes up that we both celebrate. And in that, we need to spend time with our families. It also lands on a Friday, which is fucking sweet. So that's great as well. And then the week after is New Year's, and that's kind of, we might throw something small together during the week early on, probably.
Yeah, we might do something early and maybe just get some friends on or something like that. We'll probably do something that week, but it probably won't be a normal episode because nothing's going to be happening anyway in video games that week.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then the last thing is we're still good Sunday with Bots Rush, right?
No.
Shit.
Maybe. It might be.
Well, that's why we do housekeeping.
We'll talk about that later. But we will be doing a collab show with Boss Rush and the WASD guys, but the date is kind of up in the air. Some stuff came up, so date got changed there. But we'll let you guys know when it is coming because it's going to be awesome. It's going to
get weird.
Probably not as weird as when the WASD boys come on here, but it's still going to be plenty weird.
Because I think we let them get loose a little bit on this show compared to some other podcasts, which is fine. That's their thing. That's their thing. They've got morals and shit. But
meanwhile,
not
we're
here.
Still trying to make Beats by Butthole happen, so that's a thing.
Yeah, we're gonna start that Kickstarter, baby. 2021. We should just start something stupid like that. Honestly, to gain attention for the podcast from a marketing perspective, and also just see if people would actually back that.
Yeah, and then when people actually back it, we have to actually make it. So.
Well, we make it, dude. That's what the whole part about inventing shit, dude. Come on.
That's right.
That's cool stuff, right? Anyways, we've got a decent amount of stuff to go over. Some news, some big news, some little news. Lots of little things, kind of getting back in the swing of the normal news stuff. Obviously, we just did our Game Awards stuff. Go check that out if you can. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Diggity Podcast. And you can find us where you can find any podcast in the world on numerous platforms. Look us up, Diggity, Diggity. If you're listening for the first time, hit this little subscribe button on YouTube. And if you're listening to the audio version, every single Friday morning, we give you the juiciest, greatest news pumped straight to your ear holes. No matter if you're in your car or using AirPods. It's going straight into them ear holes, baby. Gross. With that, for quickly, 60 seconds, what have you been playing?
Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Diablo 3 on Switch because my Xbox won't play the disc anymore, so I had to buy it again, but it is quite enjoyable on the Switch.
Great.
Cyberpunk 2077, and I started playing Crosscode on my PC. Yeah, that's a wonderful little game from what I've played of it. It's a pretty long, like, old school RPG, but yeah, I got probably about 3 hours in that. So, how about you?
I've jumped into a lot of shit. So I've done a little bit of Fall Guys. I beat Miles Morales, Spider-Man Miles Morales this week. So yeah, that was great. Love that game. It's great. So good. I think the story in the first one was better, but that's also because this one was a little limited. I mean, it's it wasn't able to branch out as much, but it was great. Good story, good ending. I thought it was a better ending than the first Spider-Man, but overall the story in the first Spider-Man I thought was better as a whole. And then gosh, what else? I ripped some 2K21, PGA 2K21, just for a little bit. Dude, love me some golf games, baby. And I downloaded God of War, so I can uninstall Miles Morales after I've done a couple things, and then I'm going to God of War, baby.
I'm so excited to hear your thoughts on that game.
Yeah, dude, I'm stoked.
I will say it starts out a little slow, but once it gets moving, and it's not that long. Like it's like maybe an hour or so before it kind of gets moving a little bit, and then you'll be cruising, and it's so good.
Cool. I'm stoked. I'm pumped. Do you want to roll with some upcoming game releases before we jump into the little news tidbits?
Yeah.
Excellent.
December, there's pretty much nothing, sorry, but December 18th, When the Past Was Around is coming to Xbox One. December 22nd, Override 2 Super Mech League is coming to PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Switch. December 23rd, Super Meat Boy Forever is coming to PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. And December 29th, Wingspan is coming to Switch. And finally, December 31st, The Binding of Isaac Repentance DLC is coming out on PC. So I just went ahead and got everything out for the rest of the year because it's just kind of how things were going to go this week. But cool, man. Not a whole lot there. I mean, Super Meat Boy Forever, I feel like that game has been announced for a really long time, so it's really cool to finally see that come out. But other than that, that's about the only thing that has my attention here.
Yeah, I'd probably say Super Meat Boy Forever as well. Honestly, the other ones just don't catch my eye too much, but they seem like great games still, nonetheless. Moving on with some smaller news. So the Epic Game Store is giving away free games for 15 days. So, just being a gamer isn't hard anymore because everyone just gives away free shit. It seems like every
Ubisoft's been giving away some games too.
Yeah.
I think they were giving away drawing a complete blank. The motorbike game. Trials. Yeah, Trials Rising. They were giving away that. I think today, the day we're recording, or if you're watching us live, that's up right now. I think you have to go to. I think it's only a PC though. So
something we got to do. Speaking of that, is we got to keep an eye out for Riders Republic and what date that's coming out. If it's still going to come out on that date, because we totally got to get into that game because I think we have a blast.
February 4th.
Ooh, great! That's coming out.
I think
that's close. Yeah, we're close.
It was February something. But yeah, hopefully that sticks around. But yeah, there's some good stuff. I mean, today's City Skylines on the Epic Game Store, and
and you think tomorrow it's Super Meat Boy, right?
Yeah, it looks like it may be Super Meat Boy, so that'd be actually really awesome. Mm-hmm. Next up, we have Tencent is set to acquire Liao Technologies. Liao?
I don't know.
Is it Liao?
I forget.
Okay.
I don't know. I should know this, but hey, whatever.
Well, anyway, they're the parent company of Digital Extremes, which is obviously known for Warframe, and also co-creator on the Unreal series. I didn't actually know that until I did a little research today.
Yeah, the owner of Digital Extremes worked with Cliffy B back at Epic, and then Warframe runs off of, I don't know if it does now. Well, they have their own engine, but runs off of an original version of Unreal, and because he was there and started out with Unreal, he was able to use it. So, little fact. Great.
Huh. tidbit with Jeff. Splash Damage, which is best known for Wolfenstein Enemy Territory and Enemy Territory Quake Wars.
Yeah.
Athlon Games, which is known for Samurai Showdown, and an upcoming untitled Lord of the Rings MMO, which is kind of cool. Kingmaker, which these last two seem like they kind of just make mobile games for the most part.
Yeah.
Kingmaker, they are working on a project called Hercules, and Radiance Games, which they have basically one thing they're really pushing right now, and it's Box Island, which is also a mobile game. So the deal is to the tune of $1.5 billion and will take place after it is approved by shareholders.
Yeah.
So not
two
too surprising
biggest
here,
ones in there, I think, are DE and Splash Damage.
Right.
But I mean, you never know because mobile is ridiculous sometimes.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I'm not too surprised here, but anybody picking up Warframe is a big deal. I mean, that game is still pretty large. Like it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And I mean, it's Tencent, so they're going to add to that library of stuff that they have, and different video game companies and technology companies and all this kind of crap. So I'm still a little weary of Tencent, to be honest with you. I'm not the biggest fan.
Well, you and
a lot of stuff to point to.
Most people.
There's a lot of stuff to point to, with Tencent and Chinese government. So we'll see. Maybe it's not real. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Who knows? But it's whatever. I'm sure. Just like when Liao took over DE, I'm sure. I hope that DE still gets the ability to be independent in most cases, and this is really just a corporate stamp at the end of the day on a bunch of stuff, rather than a complete crazy mix up and jumble of everything. So,
from a lot of the acquisitions we've seen with Tencent, it does seem like they allow the studios to kind of do mainly their own thing. I mean, they don't really push like a certain direction so much. I mean, obviously you start to kind of get into the realm of they will push microtransactions a little bit more because money, right? But other than that, it does seem like they have allowed a lot of freedom with most of the companies they bought up, which seems like everybody anymore.
Yeah, and the other problem, there's one problem that I've heard of when Tencent picks somebody up, and I don't think it's really that big of a problem because I think it's one of their strengths and advantages, but they have such a large portfolio that they try to get people to use their stuff. So like if DE is gonna, they'll say, hey, you got to use TikTok now for these things, and use this, and you're gonna have to do this for you're gonna have to use this studio for the online portion of gameplay and stuff like that, instead of doing it in-house all the time. And that way they're moving money back and forth between the two different companies. They're both doing services. They're revenue from both, from one single IP source. So that's cool. It's a large company though, so it's great news, but also at the same time it makes it a lot harder when you're a studio, and if you have a free-to-play game, any of these especially the mobile stuff, and you start to kind of decline a bit, well, it's much easier for them to swing the axe, right? So, in most cases, especially when you're Tencent and you got to go up against all that stuff, just shareholders. So, but good for them. Mm-hmm. Great for the Digital Extremes team, and Splash Damage, and all these guys, and it'll be cool to see where it goes. So, moving on, Electronic Arts has reached an agreement to acquire Codemasters. So Codemasters are best known for the racing games like Formula 1, Dirt, Grid, Project Cars, and working alongside EA on the Need for Speed franchise as well. And the deal is slated to hit around $1.2 billion and to be completed in the first quarter of 2021. So there's a great comparison in that. All those companies stacked together are the tune of 1.5 for Tencent, and you've got one company that's stacked to the tune of 1.2.
Right.
And Codemasters, to be honest with you, and I'm not saying this in a way that I think is insulting by any means. I think it honestly speaks to kind of their what they make in terms of how big I think they are. They kind of felt like an EA for a while for the racing games.
Yeah, they were getting very large. I mean, and for the most part, again, they basically do racing games. That's kind of their thing.
That's it.
And I mean, you talk about the Dirt series, and mainly Dirt out of that catalog that kind of stands up against your Need for Speeds and things like that. So I'm not surprised here at all that EA's like, hey, we're just going to go ahead and pick them up. Because I mean, Need for Speed franchise has been kind of stumbling, and Dirt is doing great. Forza's doing great. I mean, it makes sense. This was a really smart move on the Electronic Arts part.
They need more Vin Diesel.
Yeah, yep. That's exactly what we need.
We need the chick that carries the light board in like Need for Speed 2 to come by, and then she bends over into the car, and it's Vin Diesel's face, and he goes, "Are you ready?"
There you go. But no, this is actually pretty cool though, because Codemasters does kind of do more of like a simulation style racing rather than 80 stuff. So this really does expand what EA's kind of already been doing and just adds that much more. So good on them, and good for Codemasters. I assume this will be a good acquisition to have all of that EA money behind them.
Nice holiday bonus.
Right.
Not bad. Good job, Codemasters.
All right. Nintendo Indie World. So we had a little Nintendo Direct type deal here. We're going to probably burn through this pretty quick because I imagine our last bit of news here we're going to talk about a lot. So first up, they announced Spelunky and Spelunky 2 are coming to the Nintendo Switch. They will both games will have local multiplayer, but only Spelunky 2 will have online multiplayer as well, and these will be coming summer of 2021. Next up, they announced Fisty Fluffs, which this reminded me of kind of like Gang Beasts.
I get the play on fisticuffs.
Yeah, it
slips a bit into the dirty part of your mind, but sure.
It's not great. This is like a wonky physics cat fighting game. It has online and local multiplayer and will be coming first to the Switch in early 2021. Very, Very Valet is a frantic party game about parking cars, as you would imagine. This will be coming to the Switch in early 2021. Tunche is a side-scrolling adventure brawler taking place in the Amazon rainforest. This also features Hat Kid from A Hat in Time, which is a very beloved indie game, and this will be a timed exclusive for the Switch, arriving in March 2021. Cyber Shadow, an action platformer with pixel graphics, and this actually looked a lot like Metroid, to me at least. I really got these like Metroid vibes, obviously, with kind of a cyberpunk ninja type aesthetic. Special amiibo support for Shovel Knight amiibos, which will give you little Shovel Knight fairies to assist you throughout the game.
I like almost forgot about amiibos.
So did Nintendo,
dude.
I mean,
they sell like hotcakes. I think they're really cool, even if you don't want to use the NFC chip in them. But I mean, they look cool as statues, like little characters that you have on your shelves and stuff like that. But I forgot. I have
3 or 4 of them. They're all Fire Emblem ones, though. Of course, naturally. And this will be coming January 26th. Calico. This is about running and decorating your own cat cafe. And this is available now.
I will be buying this for my wife.
Are you? Yeah. I could see her getting into it.
Yeah, dude. Janelle will friggin' play this probably for hours. She'll be like, look at this cat. Look how adorable he is.
You going to get it on Switch for her?
Yeah, I'll get it on Switch. That way she can like take it out of the room and I don't have to hear it. I'm sure it's a great game. In fact, what's crazy about this is through Twitter, even though it's a hellhole most of the time, I was given the algorithm worked and I saw the studio that was doing it. And I clicked on it, or someone from the studio, and I clicked on it and I looked into it. It looks really nice. The art style is really cool, really pretty, and cute, and looks good. So, yeah, I will. You got me. I'll buy it for my wife. I don't know if I'll play it. Maybe I will. Who knows? I've been to a cat cafe. There's a hair in my brownie. Wasn't pleased.
I mean,
but also kind of expected.
Cat cafe. Right. Next up is Alba, a wildlife adventure. It's a 3D adventure game about saving wildlife. So recruit the help of other residents to perform certain tasks that are too big to do by yourself, and this will be coming spring of 2021. Gnosia is essentially a single-player Among Us in visual novel form, and this will be launching early 2021. I feel like that kind of takes the whole social aspect out of Among Us. That is what makes it popular, but I get what they're going for. Happy Game is a nightmare fuel puzzle game, and this is coming spring of 2021. Super Meat Boy Forever. I'm sure you've probably heard of Super Meat Boy, but if you haven't, it is a brutally hard platformer, and this will be launching on as a console exclusive on December 23rd,
How
which
crazy
isn't
is
entirely
that?
true. Yeah, they said it's a console exclusive, but it isn't.
Is there a version that's console exclusive? Like, do they have a couple levels or something like that? I'll get on the Google machine. You keep doing it.
Yeah, well, during the Direct, they said it was a console exclusive, and then while we were doing the announcements of games that were coming, I was like, you know what? I just wrote this. I should know that this is not an exclusive, but I wrote the Nintendo stuff earlier. So, Grindstone is a puzzle-based battler. It kind of... I'm not saying this in a negative way, but it had some like mobile game vibes to it, whereas like you battle through these levels and it just, I don't know. It's a console launch exclusive, and that's available now. Rapid fire games, that little montage they like to do at the end, and then they don't tell you anything about them. So most of these are my best guess. When the Past Was Around is a point and click adventure with a beautiful art style, is available now.
It's launch exclusive, so it launches first on Switch.
Right, but everywhere else listed as coming the 23rd as well, I'm pretty sure.
Nah, they said it's changed out December 23rd ahead of its eventual PS4 and Xbox One releases.
Oh,
it'll
so that
be on
must have been
Switch
something
first.
Okay, that's where that got messed up at.
Right,
gotcha.
Cool.
Look at that. Cosmocrats, a puzzle game where you were basically pushing things around in space, it looked like. This will be a timed console exclusive coming in March 2021, sorry. Hoa, a side-scrolling platformer, has some kind of Ori vibes, but with like a more fantastical, like mystical art style going on.
Yeah.
This will be launching April 2021. Hazel Sky, an adventure game that it was kind of hard to get a read on, but it looks like you're rebuilding a plane so you can fly off of an island. I assume you wrecked your plane there. And this will be coming March 2021. Trash Sailors, a co-op game about traveling on a glorified float through many obstacles and dangers. This will release spring 2021. Finding Paradise, a pixel-based story-heavy adventure game, which will be coming spring of 2021. And finally, Among Us is now available on the Nintendo Switch.
And they're which is crazy. And they're also like Among Us is like number one right now on the eShop or eStore or whatever it's called now. And the other crazy thing is the new map's not out yet. It's not coming until like the new year now, like February or March.
I think the biggest complaint I've seen about Among Us being on the Switch is that it is a nightmare to type, because there's always a slight delay when that keyboard finally pops up, and so if you're getting accused, you don't really have time to defend yourself
and then
anyway.
You can't. Everyone's like, that's sus.
Which you can actually hook up a keyboard to the Switch as well. I mean, if you really wanted to. Just saying.
If you want to be that guy.
If you want to be that guy. Out of this batch of games, so for this indie world, this was kind of, none of these really were anything I was real interested in. I think the Very, Very Valet looked kind of interesting, though, because it is that crazy party game.
Party style. And
then the Trash Sailors actually kind of looked cool, too. It looked like it was, co-op on this little float, and everybody has to kind of take care of a job.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for party games on the Switch. I love it. So
how long do you think until some company, larger AAA company, makes a game exactly like Among Us? In that game
not
style.
Sure.
I think that's the next battle royale.
God.
I really do. I really think that's the next battle royale. It's
so
just dissecting
I have an unpopular
party
opinion
modes,
here. I don't really enjoy Among Us. Personally,
that's fine.
It's certainly not for me. I understand the allure of it, but at the same time, like, You go in there and somebody makes a convincing argument that you're the imposter, and next thing you're voted off. I don't know. To me, I find that gameplay loop even less fun than a battle royale. So it's just really not for me.
Yeah.
Granted, people love it, and I've seen a lot of funny gameplays where people are playing it like on streams, and they're playing like on a mouse and keyboard, so it's a little bit easier to type and things, and it looks like they're having a blast. But I playing by myself and trying to play it is not very amusing.
It goes into my category of pooping games.
Fair enough.
Great game for taking a poop.
Anything here kind of strike your fancy other than Calico for the wife?
My wallet, yeah. I like the I like Hoa. I like the
that looked really cool.
The happy game is kind of interesting. I'm not gonna play it because I hate just nightmares in general.
It did look interesting. I will give it that. But yeah, it is very nightmare inducing.
I'm with you on the very, very valet for the party mode stuff. That's also awesome. Spelunky and Spelunky 2's kind of got me intrigued a bit. I don't know. I don't know if I really want to dive deep into that. And Super Meat Boy Forever is something that I'd be interested in as well.
So Spelunky gets so much love, and I just don't care for the art style personally. Mm-hmm. The art style kind of, mainly just your character. Your character looks like he was smashed. He or she or whatever, you know. Yeah. But it is very much like I don't know, that something about that just does not sit with me very well. But it looks like a lot of fun.
Speaking of as far as the gameplay characters or chibis, kind of. Can I borrow Link's Awakening from you?
You sure can.
Okay. Is there anything that I have that you want to borrow or no?
What's that?
Is there anything that I have that you haven't played? Probably not.
Paper Mario, I think. But
okay. There it is.
There you go. There's the trade.
There we go. Perfect. Look at that. That's friendship, people. That just happened live on the air, baby.
Making trades while we're doing the show.
That's it. Well, it just came up, and I'm like, shit. Last time I forgot. Time before that, I forgot. And I'm like, I want to get that done. So you'll love Paper Mario. Good. It's so good. All right. On the meat and potatoes of this episode, we're going to talk some Cyberpunk. Should we address the store thing first?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, cool. So, like, right before we were going to go, this is all I know. Right before we were going to go live.
Right, yeah.
Sony made an announcement that they're removing Cyberpunk from the PlayStation Store because of a ton of issues with people wanting refunds, and I think that there's just so much demand for refunds that Sony's like, holy shit, this is going to fuck us up accounting-wise, mess us up, mess our books up, hurt our shares, and we need to figure something out here. Or let Cyberpunk just take all the brunt, and pay out the refund through transfers and
we would have completely missed this because I was doing show notes shortly before the show and nothing about it came up, and right before I just happened to open Twitter and sure shit there it was, like, Cyberpunk's getting removed from the PlayStation Store, which is absolutely insane to me considering this was the most anticipated game of the year by a long shot. And now this has been a mess. If you haven't seen anything about how much of a mess this is, I envy you, I guess, but this has just been wild. It's been a wild ride.
Oh my God.
Yes.
There's just like more breaking news coming out.
What else you got?
Not just the Sony shit, but I guess that hack that happened, they looked at the US nuclear system.
Oh.
Your eyes just, shit.
That's not great.
That's decent. But back to Cyberpunk. So it looks like they're just
forget our impending doom. Let's get back to talking.
There's been a statement. There's been a statement by Sony. Says Sony Interactive Entertainment strives to ensure a high level of customer satisfaction, but will begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased Cyberpunk 2077 via PlayStation Store and want a refund. Please visit the following link to initiate the refund. You can find that at the Ask PlayStation handle on Twitter if you want to get that refund. They said that they've received too many refunds. It does not stand to the high quality that Sony wants within its store, has caused issues on numerous consoles, and has caused PlayStation players to be annoyed at numerous, not just the developer, but also the systems to which the software is running. Holy shit.
Yeah,
so they're pulling the PS4 version of it and offering refunds, which if you're on a PS5, that's the version you're running right now until January.
Right. And even then,
until further notice too.
Yeah, it does run better on the PlayStation 5. I will give it that, but it's still it's an absolute disaster. So that kind of leads us into our meat and potatoes here. We're gonna talk about Cyberpunk, and this is going to be not so much a review, and even most of our reviews are pretty loose for the most part. It's gonna be
like a brain dump or like a thought dump, really.
Yeah, and like I said, most of our reviews are pretty loose because we like to keep it like we're talking to a friend about the game, and so that's kind of where we try to stay. But this is going to be far more loose than what we've done even in the past. And I guess I'll let you go ahead and give a few thoughts here.
Yeah, sure. So
I have a whole list, so I was keeping notes while I was playing, so we'll kind of get there. But
so I guess you've played a lot more than me,
right?
So I'll just fully disclose that.
I think I'm at about 13 hours right now. I think, give or take,
way ahead of me. Here's the thing: is I gotta beat something, and then I gotta I'll dip into something new, but I gotta finish, Miles in this instance, and then move on to something else. But
not me. I roam and then never finish anything
in the backlog. No, you finish some stuff. It's just long RPGs. You're like, and you dip out.
Yeah, once you get to a certain point.
So first off, I'm not a huge RPG dude. In terms of like a Western RPG like this, I'm more, just story-based single player kind of games, or like online multiplayer games. So I'll give that, but that didn't really, going into it, super static. I was excited to see it. There's so many things that were marketed for this game that were big differentiators from a lot of other things, and the ability of really unique customization, as well as just a brilliant looking art style and kind of like mysterious almost kind of story, and like mysterious behind like the entire game, really, of like, what am I actually doing? What am I fully doing? And when I jumped into it, it was kind of boring at the start. I'm not gonna lie, it was slow, and so I took Street Kid. And that's fine. I went the street route. The problem with it, and I thought it was just maybe the route that I took, but I actually heard this from other people because I've watched and listened to a couple of podcasts now since it's been out of what people's opinions are and their thoughts of it, and that your tree that you start out with, is pretty short. Like at the start, and then you kind of get like blended into like with the rest of where other people are, and that's fine and dandy. But I would have figured it would have been a little bit longer before getting into like that merge point. Like I envision a highway basically, and then like you're all merging into the same one big highway, and you're coming off all these on ramps. And so that was a little short. The other issue too is the bugs in the game. Obviously they're prevalent. Now they've done a couple of updates since then. Clearly Sony does not think that that's worth much, but my PS5 crashed twice while trying to play this game. And I got the recovering.
Did you completely hard crashed? Okay.
Yeah,
I had the game crash. I actually haven't had my PlayStation crash.
So I've had a game crash, and I've had 2 hard crashes with the game. And
oh boy.
When I first got the PS5, I was getting, the odd hard crash like some people had gotten out of the box. And then that stopped. Like the last couple of weeks, I haven't had any of that stuff from any games, and no issues on PlayStation until, pop this game in. graphic wise, well, so there's my first. I'll just do like the first couple impressions, and you do like your first opening stuff, and then what do you want to touch on, like categories instead after that?
I think this is going to be a little bit more fast and loose because
I
mainly want to talk a lot about like the bugs and the issues I'm having with it, and then kind of circle back to the things I do like about it because there are things I do like. I mean, I'm not going to do a deep dive on like what it's at or like the music or anything like that. It's going to be more of a broad stroke for now.
Okay, so then I mean, adding to what I've said now too, one of the things I was kind of disappointed in the game for sure was. They did a really good job of marketing the game, obviously. Hence, like the 8 million pre-orders and the issue that they're in now and remain in now. One of the issues I had with it was, they toted a lot of this customization, and it's there. Like, I'll give them that. It's really cool. Like, the player creation is a really good player creator. And just really interesting in terms of the combinations you could do and what you can create. But then there's also a lack of some stuff, too, where you would feel like in-game, I feel like if you're going to make it where you can pick out like your dick in the game, I would imagine that like if you saw a pool table in the game, you could play the pool table, or like these little things that would signify that, attention to detail in the character creation, I would hope would continue on throughout the game. And the game is gorgeous. I mean, it looks really good. Even the PS4 version on my PS5 looks great. I can't wait, for the full update for when I can, view it as it's meant to be viewed on a PS5. But that attention to detail gets lost in some things, and it ends up making things feel a little weird. It ends up making the city feel dead in some aspects. There's a lot less people, and that could just be, the PS4 version because of, how much, resources the game's using at the time. But, I've driven around numerous times where there's like nobody on the street. It does not feel like a hustling, bustling city. I mean, this is supposed to be a city where like, it's supposed to be like a New York, right? Like this should be just fucking packed with people in places. The noises are a little weird too, because you'll like it doesn't sound that busy in some aspects of it. The driving and detail of animations when like you're in it, like, and this is what drives me nuts is people are like, wow, it's just an animation of someone driving. That's cool and all, except right at the beginning of the game, at least within the street side of stuff, they throw you into situations where you're sitting in the fucking car for like 5 minutes. So all you can do is look around in the car, which I get it. That's fine. Like here, you're taking a tour of the city and all this. You can skip them. But you're sitting me in a car with dialogue for 5 minutes that, I'm playing an RPG. So most people are going to sit there and listen to the dialogue because they want to get the full story and all this shit and, connect the dots later on. And the character's hands aren't moving to steer the wheel, or the character's hands are, just like doing this. Meanwhile, you're making like a 90-degree turn and the character's just like this.
That's actually something I was going to touch on too. Like in that sequence, you take the sharpest turns that are entirely impossible by a car. Like the way they animated that whole thing was very awkward.
It was bad.
And it feels like you're going straight and then all of a sudden you're just 90-degree turn. There was no like gradual turn or anything like that. It was jarring.
And there's a part in it too where just at the beginning where you're going into like the parking garage and he's like, yeah, just pull up into here, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all you hear is like the shittiest tire squeal sound you've ever heard in your life. It's like, and it's not even, and I get it. You go into a parking garage and you hear that sometimes, but not like this. This was like you're fucking drifting it. And it's like you're going 2 miles an hour. And then this thing, like you said, is just making the craziest fucking turn. And it's like, it's the future. I get it. It's 2077. Okay. It's 2020. All right. I mean, we got, people can't wear a fucking mask right. I don't think cars are going to be that much different in 2077. Right? I don't think we're going to get there, baby. I mean, it's, that it's just not going to happen. So I was just, I don't know. That's the biggest thing for me is like Grand Theft Auto. And I don't want to compare it completely to that. I've seen that stuff online. Yeah. But you've made a city. You've wanted me to interact with the city. I look at Grand Theft Auto as a great example of the city, into which the fact where you can go and be like, "There's a pool table. I'm gonna go play pool." You know, they made a pool game. You know, here's somebody I can push down a set of stairs, or I can kick or punch, and they actually like properly react. Versus, and I'm talking like true NPC stuff, not like quest NPCs, just run of the mill citizens in the city. It just feels lifeless. And it feels like it's not detailed with those features that you would expect in a city RPG style game now, which, I mean, that comes down to the bar being set by Rockstar, in my opinion.
Right.
And it's just not there. And so then you sit there and go, cool, so I have an RPG. However, it feels like it's more just like a story-based game now. When these things, to me, and I'm not saying that what I say is like, you know, is the spoken word at all. I mean, I know a lot of people that really like this game. And that's great. That's great. I'm always happy when someone finds a game that they really enjoy. Okay.
Right.
Give Pegalo a chance. 9 out of 10 on IGN. But the thing is when you look at something like that, I look at it as I'm missing the detail. Now it's a story-based game, and I'm starting the story, and I'm hours into it, and I'm bored.
Right.
So what do I have left here now? Right? I've got this story-based game that I know now I'm not going to explore the city that much because I just think it's dead feeling. And I'm bored. Yeah,
where you're at, shortly after it does open up a little bit, and it does start to feel a little bit more alive.
Do you agree, though, that like that's too much time, though, to get to that point?
See, that intro that you're talking about, that's nothing. I mean, that was all of maybe a half an hour. And then really, though, everything opens up probably about 2 hours into the game, which I know that sounds like a lot of time, but it really isn't that bad. I mean, RPG wise, that's nothing. I mean, there's some games I've had 5 or 6 hours into before it finally opens up.
Granted, I explored around
that's awful too,
without doing the quest stuff too, just to shit around. So I think my total time in game right now, again, take it for what it's worth, is like maybe 4 hours, 4.5 hours, 5 hours into this thing, like exploring and trying different things and then fucking around with little tiny things.
Right. Yeah. So after your little intro sequence and after your highways merge, you have one big mission you need to do, and then things kind of start to kick off. I fully understand what you were saying, because I was bored to tears at the beginning there. I mean, it was very boring. I hated sitting in the cars. There was nothing fun about that. And it was just, and I did both intros, mind you. Like I did 2 different characters, and one was a corpo and one was a street kid, because I wanted to see the difference. Like you were saying, there is 15 minutes maybe of this before these things merge together,
which is nuts, because people are making characters and in an RPG that are supposed to be based off of, like, you know, their path, and it's 15 fucking minutes.
There are choices and things that can come up later in the game that you can choose based on which path you chose. But yeah, this whole marketing of, whatever path you choose completely changes how the game plays. Nah. No, not really. Not at all, actually.
Yeah.
And so that was very disappointing to see. And I know there are some things that do factor in later and different options, and supposedly people respond to you differently. I mean, but I haven't really seen much of that. And even some of the things that you can say, the dialogue options, they aren't even what you have to say to progress the talk. Like, every time you get into a conversation, you have a couple different options, and the yellow option is always the one that progresses what you're saying. And 90% of the time, that is the only option you have. So you have to say certain things. And every time I've seen the street kid thing pop up, because that's the character I've played the most of, it'll pop up and I can say it, but it has no bearing on what's actually going on. It's really pointless. But yeah, for me, the intro was weird. I didn't enjoy it. Once things opened up, I enjoy it more, but there's still a lot of glaring issues with the game. But like I said, I kind of wanted to get I'll let you kind of finish up here because I played a little bit more, so I have a little bit more to say. But
I just want to give an update too. I guess Death Stranding has a Cyberpunk update now.
Yeah, on PC only.
Which, whatever. Yeah,
right.
I mean, I think. Oh, at first I thought, maybe this is just, unfortunately, the gaming community hype machine, which has gone awry, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And has caused a lot of outcry for a lot of things that I don't think deserve to be, really given a shit about too much, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But now I'm like, it's a developer. I mean, they really should have probably delayed this another 6 months. But then again, it's a complete clusterfuck because you go back to it and you're like, if they said it was going to be delayed again, you'd have just this outpouring of people with pitchforks looking for these people's addresses and trying to cancel them and shit. And it's just disgusting. I mean, it causes. I mean, I think truly that's where it started out. Was as a community, we hyped the shit out of this thing, and I mean, I know we didn't because we kept on being like, is it ever going to come out? And then we also continually said like, this thing is getting way too hyped, and that's not to toot our own horn, but
no,
the horn has been tooted. So I mean, I just think it's crazy that we're here and that like some people think that this is insane. It's not. It's because people lose their fucking mind over these things and they demand things. Like I just think it's the most hypocritical thing I have seen yet is the result of this game from the gaming community, because this game and this studio has been involved in so much bullshit online in the past 2 years that we've like truly known about it, right? Isn't 2 almost more than that? They
announced it like 8 years ago.
Well, they announced it 8 years ago, but I mean, like started actually getting like deep looks at it. Yeah,
the last 2 years have been pretty heavy, right?
So the last 2 years super heavy, and I mean, for a company to take flack for crunch time and the community to demand shit change in crunch time and all these things and different procedures and protocols per an industry that a lot of people, God bless them, in the community don't work in and don't understand from a business perspective, which is fine. That's great. I don't understand how the electric company who gives electricity to my house fucking makes money. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's fine. But I can complain about electricity. I have the right to do that. But to complain about this shit, tell them, no, you shouldn't be doing crunch. You shouldn't be working workers like this who want to fucking do it and want to make a polished product, because every single person that works on this thing, this is on their resume.
Right.
So like if one guy on the team, one girl on the team takes you down, you're fucked. It doesn't help walking, and this is going to help none of these people. Like if you're a QA tester and you're a QA tester in this game and you walk into like EA and you're like, hey, I'm applying for a job for EA Sports. I'm a QA tester. Someone looks at it and goes, whoa, Cyberpunk 2077. Yikes.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
It fucks them over. But on top of that, now we have a game that's not complete. And it's because we bitch and moan about the game getting delayed when there's a fucking pandemic, but then we bitch and moan that we can't do crunch time, we can't do overextended hours, we can't work overtime, but then we bitch that people, should get paid for overtime opportunities because they need more money to live or do other things and more opportunities in their job. It's just no one's happy. No one's happy with anything. There's no solving this shit. It's just a loop. I mean, we've seen so many fucking game journalism companies, whatever the fuck you want to call them at this point, because I don't think it's journalism at this point. It's literally just opinionated pieces of how can I somehow fit politics into this, and I don't give a shit about who the fuck you like in politics. I just don't want to hear about it. about in a fucking game review. That's not what I'm here to listen to. I'm here to listen about a game.
And they all become an echo chamber on top of that.
Oh my god, dude, we've had shit about this game, about trans people wanting to be in the game, which is fine. If you're a trans person, great. As long as if you want something and it's not going to hurt anybody or harm anybody or upset somebody, and hurt them on a level, do whatever you want. I don't really care. Okay, so like this next statement out of that, this is like a pre-sentence before I'm about to say. Okay, because you also have to say these things, or else someone's gonna be like, "What the fuck is this?" People demanded representation in games for trans and all these different things. They get it. They have it. And then I read an article where an individual who is trans does nothing but complain about how there is trans culture in the game. What do you want?
Right.
What do you want? So the entire time this game, I mean, if I was CD Projekt Red, I'd be so fucking frustrated right now. Because you've literally bent a knee to everybody it's basically like we all created the fucking game.
Yeah. And the entire time this is going on, it's been a hypocritical echo chamber, like you were saying. Exactly. Like everybody was mad about the crunch culture thing, but then they were mad when the game got delayed again in a year of a pandemic when half these people have not been able to work or go into work to actually collaborate with people. And then, to your point about the trans representation in the game, this game never set out to be that game that was this big representation of trans. I have absolutely no problem with it. I'm glad to even see it in the game. But the problem is, once they open that door, people attacked it for not doing it the way they wanted it done. There's a lot of people that have commended the game for their representation in there, but at the same time, other people are completely wanting to burn CD Projekt Red to the ground. And it's like they tried, and they have done more for the trans community than most other games have ever done. I can't even think of very many games that have even touched that subject, because it can be a tricky subject for people because of this exact reason. Like, they did it, and they didn't 100% carry through with it in the same way that most people thought it should have been carried through with. And
all the things that I've seen where people are like, this is how it shouldn't have been done. It's not on the basis of like, this is a physical appearance. This is a term that's not used, or this isn't shown in the right way. It's because they're complaining about how it's as if it's a marketable thing within the game.
Right.
That's all the shit I've seen. It hasn't been like, oh, well, the physical feature of this wouldn't actually be this. This is what my body's like when, I'm trans, and, I've done the different therapies and all this kind of stuff. It's not that. It's like, it seems like they're just trying to sell the trans stuff. No, they're trying to fucking make you happy because you asked for all this shit. And if it's the first fucking go around where there's an actual deep, authentic inclusion of something like this, where a developer did not have to fucking do this. They did not.
Right.
Okay? They didn't need to fucking do it. At the end of the day, the amount of trans people versus the amount of, straight or different terms of people, there's less trans people, right? That market, they're not trying to fucking market to you, okay? They're not trying to market the game to trans people. They fucking listened to a small amount of people, okay, in terms of the total population of this fucking earth, that asked for something for inclusion, and they gave it to them. And all they fucking got back was, it seems like you're trying to market this. To who? To fucking who? They're just trying to include it after listening to you, because everybody fucking demands all these things, and then they complain. As if they know how to fucking make the game, or they know how to make it better for trans people. They're not looking to make the game better for just trans people. They're making the game for everybody. Try to get some inclusion of it. They're looking for it for skin tones, for different nationalities, for different fucking voices, for different accents. You know, I mean, shit, dude, different hairstyles. You could do so much in the game. Like, I just don't know how you even complain about, you know, inclusiveness when you can literally customize your character to the fucking dick.
Right.
It makes no sense to me as to how that is even an argument and how that happened. And all it does is just prove a point that the community has gotten completely out of hand. And to be honest with you, I don't know many people that want this kind of shit. Not in the games, not the trans stuff. Just want or complain about this stuff. And right. I'm not talking the trans stuff. I'm talking about just like we've seen articles where there's not enough political blah blah blah. They had the chance to make it political. Everyone has the fucking chance to make something political. Nobody wants to. Everyone's sick and tired of it. Nobody wants that shit. I mean, yep. I read an article and the WSAD guys put it on Twitter where, you know, Kotaku was complaining that there was too many dildos in the game. Go back 3 fucking weeks and the same site was writing how Cyberpunk was a great step towards sexuality norms within a video game because there's just ads everywhere for sex and all these different sexual references and innuendos. And now apparently there's too many dildos and they're just too distracting in the game. And that's my biggest takeaway. If your biggest
They're only
takeaway
in certain shops, like I don't
oh
fucking
my god!
get it.
If your
It's
biggest
insane.
takeaway after playing a game for 13, 15, 20 hours is there's too many dildos, you need a fucking reality check. If that's
Right.
the biggest thing you can take out of a game, and give me as a consumer of your content, and that's what you give me, that's shite. I mean, that's dumb, right? I mean, you are a dildo, which means you're dumb. Okay? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Right.
Like, it's so stupid. So we've just created this whirlwind and this circle jerk of just issue after issue after issue of things that people aren't actually complaining about. We've just got loud people out there.
Right.
And I don't know how you solve it. I mean, I don't know if this is how it solves it. What this does is this destroys the gaming industry, is what this does. Because this company just spent 8 fucking years working on a game. They go launch the thing, and now Sony's taking it. And I'm not saying all of the blame is on, you know, the community. The developer at the end of the day has to release the game. That's their call. They made a bad business move. They released the game. They probably shouldn't have done it. They should have at least waited a couple more weeks, maybe a couple more months, whatever. But
fuck, even a year at this point. I mean,
I mean, sure, whatever it takes, right? I mean, you knew when you booted it up, this was not to any standard of a game,
right?
That would be out. Like, it's not.
You know, aside from, you know, the trans representation and things of that nature, there's downright problems with the game and how it runs. Obviously, I mean, that's been very well documented at this point. But there's so many things around this game, and I feel like a lot of the talks are not talks that are important to the quality of the game. There are those talks, don't get me wrong, but a lot of it is centering around things that people asked for, they put in, and then they weren't happy with how it was done. So and I mean, it's difficult because, again, from the outside looking in, we've see the loud minority of people that are shouting out about certain things about these games, but you also don't know. I mean, I don't know how they could have better implemented some of the things that they did do. The character creator was great. I mean, it gave you a lot of things you could change and a lot of things you could do, but at the end of the day, it also felt very weird and shallow too. Like, if they would have made it to where you could not change your dick, it probably would have been for the better, because that became like this whole arguing point to an extent, right? Yeah. And like, it has no value. There's no reason to customize the way your fucking dick looks.
No, your dick was hanging out of your pants because you had a bug.
Yeah,
in game where your dick was hanging out of your pants.
One of the bugs I had, so I'll get into some of the bugs I've had here, so we can kind of venture into the quality realm of this game. So one of the very first bugs I had, I get out of that intro sequence. I get dropped off at my apartment. I walk into my apartment and I heard everybody talking about, oh yeah, if you want to see what your character looks like, you have to go to a mirror. So I go to the mirror. My first character, I played a corpo, and she was female. And I looked in the mirror, and she was not wearing pants. I was like, oh, that's not a great bug. What the fuck? So I changed the pants, put different pants on, and it kind of fixed itself, kind of. Then I was playing on my male character, and looked in the mirror, just to see if I could replicate the bug. Same exact bug, no pants. He also didn't have a dick, though. He was like Ken doll. And I realized that my female character was also Ken doll. Like, not a goddamn thing going on down there. It was just flat.
We've got a little comment here, actually. So True Black King 85 says, I mean, don't get me wrong, CD Projekt Red deserves all the flack for it, but at least they're trying to restore their reputation. I can't say that for EA or Bethesda, even Ubisoft. I agree. Fair. Yeah, that's fair, for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I had another bug where when you change your pants, if you chose to have a character with penis, your penis will just hang out of your pants, just hanging out. It's like, good God. One of the big missions right at the beginning, I'm not going to spoil it because I'm sure a lot of people are not playing it and are going to wait to play it later.
Not on PlayStation.
Yeah, there's a part where you are supposed to be receiving a biochip from your friend. I'm trying to be as vague as possible and still explain what's going on.
That's vague.
The game didn't understand the difference between his gun and the biochip that is in his fucking head. So I had a gun sticking out of this character's head, just hanging out. And then when he pulled it out and he gives you this little chip like this, he's holding a gun like this. It was so messed up. Like, this is a main sequence of your game. There is no possible way your quality testers could have missed this section of the game. What the fuck happened?
Yeah. Everyone was out that day.
Right. It was bad.
Oh my God.
Let's see what else.
Oh, the car one. Say the car one. That one was good. Where you're like, you call for your car, and then you said you might not have it on your list, but you told me when we were chatting, you called for your car, and then it shows up, and like all the fucking doors are blown off on it, and everything is just destroyed, and you're like, what happened?
I called for it and it clipped through a wall. I watched it clip through the wall, and when it came out the other side, it was completely destroyed. Good God, what is going on?
So there's a great example with detail. You can't break the windows on cars.
Yeah.
You can't
I know
dent
some
the
of
car.
Them are like bulletproof, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Right. There's a lot of pop-up messages throughout the game.
Yes.
And sometimes these just fucking stay there. They don't go away.
Yeah.
So I had one that was actually blocking my health bar. Well, my character plays with a katana most of the time, so seeing my health bar is vitally important. And I had to save it and then load my save, and it went away finally.
Okay.
An enemy completely glitched through the door in one of the main mission sequences.
Yeah.
And just disappeared. I was able to still shoot him, and he was still able to shoot me, but I couldn't see him. I just blindly shot into the door. And it wasn't even a door you could go through. There's a lot of loading screens. Some of these are not bugs, mind you. There's a lot of loading screens, and these are even in what should be cutscenes. And these cutscenes are you still have to load to go to a different place. There was a sequence where I loaded into a place. I was there for 10 seconds. It did its thing, and then it loaded me into the next place. And again, it is a PlayStation 4 game running on PS5, so it loads okay. It's still not great. I mean, not what we're seeing out of some of these other games. There's a lot of weird pauses in some of the dialogue, like in between, and I think this is more bug related. Because it's like you'll be talking to someone and you'll just stand there and you're like, is the conversation done? And you go to walk away and they're like, oh, hey, V. You're like, what is going on, man? Like, there's this just weird things like that, and I don't believe that it is. I think it's a bug problem because it's like the game is just not realizing that it's supposed to deliver the next or line of dialogue. It's very odd.
Yeah, it's like trying to process everything because your selection.
In the time I've been playing, I've had the game crash 4 times, and as I was writing this, 2 of those times happened in one night. Within a 2-hour playtime.
Did you lose like a bunch of progress at all or no?
No, the autosaves do actually work fairly well. I will give it that. There are some things I would like to see as far as some quality of life changes that I think should have been there from the get-go. I don't understand why we can't add items to a junk list and then just get rid of them when we go to a place, because I have to go through things twice. I'm spending time going through, seeing if I want to equip it, and then when I go to sell things, I have to spend time going through it and making sure I don't get rid of the shit that I wanted.
Right.
That's, to me, is bizarre in a game that every enemy you kill, you can take their gun and they'll have something on them as well. So it would make way more sense to have it make my inventory management way easier.
Right.
I've done this. I mean, I've been down this road before, played many RPGs where, you have to do this, but there's a lot of loot incoming now, and there's no reason you shouldn't be able to just throw it in a list and get rid of it. There needs to be a transmog system. I hate the way my character looks 99% of the time, because in order to have the best equipped gear, my guy is rocking short shorts and some fucking stupid ass military vest, and then also wearing these futuristic goggles of some sort, and then some fucking it looks like a straw hat from Ghost of Tsushima. Like, what is going on? I don't want to look like this, but I have to have the armor because, again, katana. Playing with a katana, I have to have this armor. Even the gunplay is very iffy at best, and
I guess
I need to have my character.
The only
look
combative thing to that is that obviously you're mostly in your first-person view, right? But
right, I hopped on my motorcycle in my short shorts, and those bad boys went right up my ass crack. Good God.
Oh, God.
I also had an issue where I got a phone call while I was on my motorcycle, and
in-game
driving around through the city. You can't select any other option except for the top option when you're in a dialogue choice. And then I selected the dialogue choice, and all of a sudden my game just froze and then hard crashed. So yeah, it's very bizarre. And then the last thing I want to do is, there's no option to go and change my character's hairstyle, or give them tattoos, or change their beard, or anything like that. There is no option to change your character's appearance in any way, shape, or form other than the equipment that you get as you play. And even then, it's not a transmog system, so you just have to look like whatever you got going on. So very, very, very bizarre. And that's something they added to The Witcher 3 later on. Yeah. And I fully... So let me, before I get into this anymore, I fully think that CD Projekt Red can fix this game. I really do.
Yeah, I believe that as well. Yep.
I have the utmost faith that they can fix this game, and I think they will. It is going to take at least 6 months, at least, to fix most of the stuff. And even then, these quality of life things that I'm listing off, those aren't going to be fixed. That's going to be a year at least.
Or those might not even happen.
Or they might not happen, which I think they will. Like I said, they do a good job of supporting their games after they came out, but they should have pushed this off further. This 100% should have been pushed off for another year if they needed it, because the damage they've done to their reputation within the gaming industry, mind you, before this, they were known as one of the better companies. Yeah, they were the company, right? These were the guys that put out some of the best expansions for The Witcher 3. And I mean, hell, they made The Witcher 3 and it's just incredible. So by putting this game out when they did and having this half-baked at best, I mean, it's not even half-baked on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. I mean, this game is still gooey 100% around, except for maybe on the edges, right? Just awful. And the damage they've done to their reputation with this is just, it's going to take them so long to recover. I mean, they're getting thrown in with companies like EA and Bethesda has literally come out and been like, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Like, you don't want to be thrown in with Bethesda. Yeah, they make awesome games to an extent, but like Skyrim, buggy as fuck. Like, you don't want to be in that mix.
Yeah, you don't want to be there.
And so it's insane the way this is all kind of shaken down, and this crazy hype monster of a game comes out and just completely gets tore apart. For the last week, it's been nothing but tearing CD Projekt Red apart for this game. And you know what? At the end of the day, I do really enjoy playing this game. I'm playing it on PlayStation 5, mind you, so it is running fairly decent. From what I understand, the PC version's the best, Xbox Series X version is second best, and then PlayStation 5. So it runs fairly well. There's lots of glitches, and that's not something based on the system I'm playing it on. So, I mean, I'm not getting crazy frame rate stutter or anything like that most of the time. A lot of it's just weird bugs and glitches that just need to be ironed out and can be ironed out. But, I mean, I have enjoyed the time I've put into this game. There's so much going on, like, in the city once everything opens up, all these different side missions, and you'll be driving around and you'll see this little, like, blue icon pop up, this light blue icon, and it's like, oh, well, you can go over here, kill some people, and take some information and some weapons and things like that. You get some XP, and I mean, their skill trees are really cool. They have a lot of cool things in this game. And at the end of the day, it's just half-baked. It is not to the point where it needed to be. And I fully think this could be a lot of what they marketed. I still think a lot of it was super, or just trying to sell the game.
It's just gimmicky shit.
Yeah, like, oh,
Keanu Reeves like thrown into it. All of the customize your dick,
right.
Here's your, like you said, your 3 paths, but then you find out it's 15 minutes of story. That arguably isn't really story. It's you sitting in different environment, in different stages of, your opening sequence of life to your character. Right. It's sitting. Great.
One of the most polished missions that I've done in that entire game is the mission we've seen probably 1 million times at this point, where you have to rush into that, like, run down like apartment building and get that chick. Like, that's the one they've been using for the last 3 years for their marketing.
Because it's the only one that's probably done and not glitched.
Right.
Which is crazy to me.
I mean, there's so many cool things in this game, but it's a shame that a lot of people are not going to get to experience it because, one, it's impossible to get a new gen console right now. Building a PC is pretty fucking expensive, and so if you're still playing on last gen, I don't know when you're going to be able to play this game. If you're going to be able to play this game, I do not know if this game can be fully optimized in order to run like it should, without, essentially eliminating half the people in the city. This game was just so poorly optimized. So there's things they can do, and I'm sure they will get it to run. I mean, it's going to take some fucking magic, though. I mean, just some real magic going on here. And I enjoy my time with this game, but I could not, in good conscience, tell anybody to go buy this game right now. I really couldn't. That's my end of the line statement. Like, I'm not disappointed I bought this game. I am very happy that we game shared this game, so I only paid $30 for it. But at the same time, I could not tell someone to go buy this game and tell them they would enjoy it. I could 100% tell somebody to wait a year and then buy it, and you'll have a blast with it. But right now, in the state it's in, do not go pay full price for this game. Do not buy it on sale unless you're getting this game for like $20 and you have something that can half-ass run this thing. No, don't do it.
I mean, it's just crazy too, because as I'm going through Twitter right now, because obviously this news is so, recent.
Right.
I'm reading some of the stuff, and the same people who are bashing this thing are now like, oh man, they don't deserve this. 2020 sucks. Don't blame this on 2020.
No, this was a developer fault. What the hell
are we going to do as humans going forward? Are we going to say, man, 2021, crazy year, 2021. I mean, we're just going to say, 2022, crazy year.
Don't you know life is entirely dictated by the date?
Yeah, it's just
whether it's 2021, 2019, like
it's just aggravating, man. And like they're like, oh, they deserve better than this. Then speak up when the other people are freaking out on them about dumb stuff. Like this, people forget. I mean, CD Projekt Red is a public company, sponsored public company that you can buy shares in. And on top of that, they have a lot of expenses. This industry is a hit-driven industry, man. If you do absolutely. Not, I mean, whether or not you're at the top or not doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're bought by like Microsoft, and you've got a parent organization like that, yeah, there's leeway. But if you're your own guy, and something like this happens to you, this is gonna hurt them for a very long time. This is not good. This is going to really fuck them over.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it's mind-numbing to me that people are now just like, oh, they don't deserve this. That's so harsh and blah blah. It's like, you guys all complained about it for it to happen. Right. I mean, at least we're sitting here and we were still going to say this stuff no matter if they had been taken down or not. I think it's a little ridiculous, honestly, that they got taken down. I mean, we're all human beings. We can look on the internet to see if the fucking game is okay or not.
Right. Yeah. I
don't get it.
This may seem a little harsh, but I think if you bought this game a week after it was out, you shouldn't get a refund. If you didn't do your research on this, like if you pre-ordered this, I think you should 100% get your refund. If you bought the game after reviews have been out, at a certain point, shouldn't that fall on you? I'm sorry, but that's the way it is with every other game. But I mean, at this point, they're doing damage control because PlayStation was getting a lot of flack for not giving refunds out too, because that's their policy. So now CD Projekt Red said, absolutely, go get your refund. And then PlayStation was kind of going against it. And some people could get their refunds, but it was taking like 2 hours on the phone with these people, or the customer service representatives. And so I get why they're taking it off, because they need to address the people they currently have. But at the same time, like,
well, they're fucking them over now. Sony's probably like, holy shit. Yeah. Holiday season, we're already dealing with a bunch of shit already.
Oh, yeah.
We just had a console launch. Get this shit off of here. We can't do it.
I mean, if Trolls was able to launch on the Switch and be able to stay on the store, I really don't see why this couldn't stay on the store. But, I mean, I'm just saying.
That's fair. It's absolutely fair. I mean, that makes sense. There's nothing
leading up to this game, we did talk about it. We addressed some things with it. And, I think we both were very, very much aware that this game was not going to live up to the hype that people had for it. I will also say I had no clue it was going to end up like this. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be this bad. I knew there was going to be faults. I knew there was going to be problems. I knew there was going to be, promises that were made that weren't met. But I surely did not expect this absolute dumpster fire. It's crazy. And, I feel bad for the developers that have put their, blood, sweat, and tears into this game, and now are in a tough spot because executives pushed it out. I don't think this is so much a developer issue as it is an executive issue, and the fact that these are publicly traded companies and they needed to make some money because they haven't made any money for a while.
People are now saying, crazy, Cyberpunk 2077 is now an Xbox console exclusive.
Jesus.
Oh, the internet.
But
playing the latest Xbox console exclusive right now, and this is a photo of Johnny Silverhand or Silverhand or Silverfist? Silverhand. Keanu Reeves is what I just call him in the game.
Keanu. But yeah, it's a shame that this went down the way it did. But a lot of this is. I think a lot of this is far beyond the developer's control. I think a lot of this is executives. I think a lot of it's the fact that they have shareholders. And I think a lot of it was this just took too much time, and Corona didn't help any of that shit. and now it is an absolute dumpster fire that I don't even feel good about sitting back with popcorn and watching, because this is just fucking terrible. I mean, people were pissed off and threatening these developers' families when they delayed it, and now it comes out and it's questionable at best. And I can only imagine the things that these people are seeing in comments and all that. It's just so much hatred that is entirely unneeded.
People are saying, remember that time Hello Games came out with No Man's Sky, and they said it can't get worse than this, right?
Yeah. 2077, baby. Good God.
It's just
so
crazy.
I mean, I guess I feel like we've put a nice little bow on this, and we've made it very clear.
I got one more bow.
Stand.
Real quick, 30 seconds. The
Go ahead,
UI is fucking
put that bow in
awful.
UI's terrible.
I get what they're going for. I really appreciate, the style that they're going for. It does not work, especially on a console. And that's fine. I get it. There's PC. You still have mouse controls with a console instead of a grid-based system for selection, which just gets you confused because you want to pop into menus and zip around and be done with it and get out.
Right.
That's dumb. They're using very small, thin lines that are cyan and magenta or deep or bright red, and it gets lost in the eye. It's hard to find your focus point in the UI itself, and it's just confusing. And I wish that an easy way to do it was honestly to put backing fill on the back of these wireframes that they've done out, where like they'd have a fill of like black maybe or silver, and then I could actually see what's going on instead of the item floating within the transparent box that has a stroke around it of a neon-esque line that seems to have like an overscan filter on top of everything.
Yeah,
that went deep, but I did not enjoy that. I thought that was a terrible move.
Yeah, I like you said, I fully understand what they're going for. This kind of like futuristic, type look to it, but it comes across as messy when you have to interact with it.
Yeah, The Division is a great example of probably what they should have done.
Yeah,
to still get that feel, but make it actually usable,
right,
for the end user. That's
something I give a lot of credit to for the Division.
Like, oh my God, the UI in the Division games, incredible,
awesome,
incredible
so
work, incredible.
But yeah, it sucks. But yeah, at this time, do not go buy this game, and you can't on PlayStation. So there's that. Yeah,
if you're even thinking about getting on Xbox, probably hold off for a bit. I mean, I would definitely hold off until see what this January update brings, and then go pick it up. If you got a PC, I mean, I think you probably take the risk and go for it. But
I'd still wait.
Yeah, I'd say that you probably could go into it, but you still need to be hesitant in like.
And you gotta have a pretty solid PC too.
Hell yeah, you do.
Which, if you have a pretty solid PC and you're just now listening to us talk about this and had no clue what was going on with Cyberpunk, just wait. You weren't in that much of a hurry for this anyway.
It's a fair point. It's a very fair point. Yeah, overall, just rushed. And that comes on the basis of not only CD Projekt Red releasing it too early, but I also think that the gaming community had a pretty bad part in all of this, that just kind of did a shit stack and then basically has produced what seems to be an endless amount of ammo to attack this company and or game, which I don't want to attack this company. I think at the end of the day, these are people with jobs and families and a passion to do an art that is an incredibly unique art and incredibly difficult to do. You know, you're writing a book, a friggin' soundtrack, or a book, a studio album, and a video and a movie, a feature-length film, all at the same time. And someone has to be able to jump in and look at every single flaw in a 3D environment.
Yep.
So, I mean, that is an incredible art to achieve and to work at. It takes a lot of work. I hope they fix it. I think they can fix it. Problem is the brand tarnished now to, the point where, can they do another game? Because these are the guys that pour a shit ton of money into games, and they come out with one every X amount of years and then, put DLC out.
I think they can recover from this, but it is going to take a lot of work, and it is going to require them to earn a lot of goodwill with the people that play their games. And, leading up to this, they were on top of, treating the gamers right. Like, yeah, I know there was the crunch culture thing, but as far as how they treated the people that bought their games, they were beloved for that. And so they can certainly get back to that point. But it is going to be way more of an uphill climb than what it was for Hello Games and No Man's Sky. I mean, that was a fairly small developer, so that's nothing compared to CD Projekt Red at this point. And it still took Hello Games, 3 years before that game was finally like, okay, yeah. So it's gonna be a while. This is going to be a long ride, and I'm sure we're going to get to talk about it more.
It's just so crazy, man. It's insane. Well, guys, that'll do it for this episode. If you want to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, hit us up at Diggity Podcast. You can find me on PlayStation. My PSN is Maple Jeff.
And mine is Luscious Brody.
Sweet. Leave us a review, guys, whether it's a comment on our YouTube page and or a comment or review on our iTunes page, Google Podcasts, Spotify, anything, any rating at all. It helps us out a lot. A like, a subscribe on YouTube helps us out. 5 stars, thumbs up, all the different crazy rating systems they have on all the different audio platforms. It all helps us get noticed, and it's what's allowed us to grow. And it's also what lets us know, how to make the show better for you guys. So if you could please do that, that'd be fantastic. And thank you to those who have this entire time. Until next time, guys, we will see you, probably maybe just before the new year. We will not see you next week, as we take time to spend, time in the holidays with our families and enjoy that and just chill out and a good break. And hope everybody stays safe, well, and just